Podcast. It is episode 21. I am here as every day, of course, and with me are Yulwei and Vinnie. How are we tonight, boys?
Yeah, not too bad.
Very good.
Good. So we've had.
And how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah,
Our tired boy.
I'm very tired, but I'm here to talk about the VCS, and we have had 4 weeks now, and I want to get off Mr. VCS's wild ride, but of course I can't until the end of the year. What have you thought about the last couple of weeks? Yulwei, if you want to...
Still mixed feelings about this the play so far. Of course, I was super tilted with Team Secret not winning against 𝘀𝗰𝗋 after that very good first game where I was super excited.
Yep.
I looked at that first game, was like, they are the promised defeaters or the victors of the VCS. They will go on to represent us at Worlds. Team Secret looking so good, and then the next 2 games happen. Oh no.
Yeah.
There's still glimpses of good play here and there. I actually feel like, especially when it comes to closing games, a lot of teams are actually quite good playing around Baron. Game time is still pretty short compared to other leagues, so at least we don't have the super long drawn out games all the time, but we had a few in the last week. So, yeah.
And Vinnie, your thoughts on the last 2 weeks?
I've developed a fear of bears.
I haven't. I'm the opposite.
Whenever I see a bear, I feel like screaming.
I'm the opposite.
So-
I've developed the feeling that if I see a bear, I can go give it a hug because they're not killing anyone.
True.
Yeah, whenever I see a bear, I scream. That's the issue.
I went back and just watched a couple of like champion selects. I wanted to see how I was like casting during them. And that one game where we just had I don't remember what the first pick was. Blue won, and then it was just set volley, and you just went no. Just pissed myself laughing.
I feel like that was just because there were a couple times where I was like halfway through saying like, I hope they don't pick this. No, they picked it.
Kept doing it, and it never worked.
Yeah, I still don't understand why so many teams, especially looking at freaking Team Flash there,
Yeah.
pick 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀 top lane all the time. Like, I don't really mind 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀 jungle. 𝘀𝗀𝗀 top lane is so useless. I've not seen it work in any, like, every time I see 𝘀𝗀𝗀 top, it just falls behind in CS, it doesn't scale, builds full tank, doesn't deal damage. When it gets to the carries, it's already half dead. That's like, why? Why would you play this champ all the time? It doesn't do anything. It can't set up waves, you're overextending in lane all the time because you auto push. Like, I hate this champ in the top lane. It's so weird.
I don't mind it in the top lane, just not as a
Really?
pick. Not as a blind pick. I think it can be a very good counter pick to certain matchups.
Aye.
Unfortunately, I don't think any of those matchups are particularly meta. But
And again, I don't necessarily mind it just as we don't know what to pick a meatball. But don't do that with your first pick. It's not a power pick for you, Team Flash. 𝘀𝗏 is not your power player. Stop giving him first pick. Stop
𝘀𝗏 is very good in team fights. Like, just picking a genuine tank that has more CC. Give him 𝘀𝗀. He'll have the same DCS disadvantage, but 𝘀𝗀 50 CS down is so much more useful in team fights than 50 CS down, 2 levels down 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀, who just runs in, you slow him, and he dies. It's like, why? Just please, no.
𝘀𝗀𝗀 is especially useless in a meta dominated by Aphelios and Ashe, who both really excel at stopping him from getting to you.
Ridiculous. I don't understand the priority.
And then there's Ezreal as like the second tier. It's like the next tier down. It's like none of the 80. Like if it was just like consistently.
Even 𝘁𝗃 can kite
Jhin,
him for ages.
Yeah. No, he's not good into the meta 80 carries, and so I think if you're picking him, you either want to be building damage to just roll over try and steamroll that lane somehow, or you just don't pick him.
I like the latter option, particularly for the VCS. He has been successful in some other leagues. They've figured out how to use him. Doesn't work in the VCS. It's not working. It is visibly not working. I don't understand how Flash can keep picking him when it hasn't done anything and they've played it like 8 times. Stop picking it. It's
I mean, Flash has
not
actually
working.
improved VolleyBear's win rate significantly, but it hasn't looked good in any game. Like,
Yeah, and
all the
how's
games
and
for
how's its
VolleyBear,
KDA?
man.
Oh, I don't.
Those games against 𝘀cie𝗰𝗋𝗀 just almost 1v9 those games. It was like, well, if your team wasn't that useless, if your bot lane didn't end all game, maybe VolleyBear would have lost this game. But yeah, sadly, 𝘀cie and 𝘁 just decided to run it down from start to finish.
Yeah,
so
maybe it's like a fear
unlucky.
tactic. Maybe they know that a lot of VCS players have like a crippling fear of bears, so they see the loading screen and then like they're just like, I'm so scared that I'm just gonna int my lane. Maybe that's how, because I can't think of
Never
another
know.
reason. But moving on to the meat of what we want to talk about, as we've ranted about VolleyBear for a few minutes. We are going to do our power rankings. It's been a fortnight, which means every team has now played 3 series. Everyone has now played 6 total.
6.
Yeah.
So, did someone have what we had ranking-wise last time, or did anyone remember that? Might have been cool to check that before we went live, but if we don't, it's fine. I thought it could be fun to compare.
I think we went something. Yeah, we went something like Cerberus, Team Secret, %. Then we had some disagreements, but most people, I think we decided on 𝘀, then Flash, then then Flash,
Then it was
then Saigon Buffalo, EVOS, OPG.
Yeah.
I think that was our rankings last time.
So I think one thing that's not going to change between all 3 of us, I still think we have Cerberus first.
Yeah,
I think
you have to.
That's undeniable. Their real team is yet to lose a game. They've lost 1 game with 3 substitutes, which is still one of the most bizarre and stupid things I've ever seen. I'm still tilted about it. But
That's so useless.
Absurd.
it was useless, but they have 1 defeat, but of course, still no series losses. They are absolutely dominating the VCS at the moment. Difficult to see who's even going to
LL and the bot lane are still undefeated, so...
Yeah. Their real team is undefeated. That's the big thing. Like, and I actually think the one thing that did come out of that experiment is 𝘀's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you actually can. I'm okay with splitting those 2 splitting time. Again, I don't necessarily think it's necessary. I think LL was fine. But knowing you have 𝘀, now I think second may already be where our paths diverge. What do you guys have second?
Really?
Who do you have second, guys?
I still have Team Secret.
Vinnie?
Overall, their game score is by far the best. They lost 1 series, 1-2 to 𝘀. Okay, that's really bad. They should have won this series. But if you look at the whole split so far, I think they are by far the cleanest early game macro team. They have the shortest game time, I believe, at least from the top teams. So they close out games very quickly. And yeah, I still believe in them. Of course, their tilt against 𝘀 kind of was very annoying. To me, it looked like everyone just lost their mind. But I still feel like Team Secret is pretty easily second best.
You agree, Vinnie? Is that where you have them ranked?
Think like they had a pretty shocking series against 𝘀.
Well, before you go into it, I have 𝘀 second.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
my
And I
god.
know,
Okay.
and I hate it. I'm not happy about that. I am so unhappy about it. But and this is partially like because of how other teams are playing against 𝘀. So this could change if they just get their shit together. Tier 1 gets Jace every game and kills people. It's not being banned. And if the VCS coaches, I have never had a lower opinion of VCS coaches as I do currently. I genuinely think they are the worst coaches in the world. There's a couple that are fine. I think Cerberus's coaches are fine. Team Secret's evidently got some decent coaches. I think the rest of the league are paycheck thieves at this point. If you cannot do better than you are currently doing in terms of in-game plans, you're thieving paychecks. So, because I have such a low opinion of the VCS coaches, 𝘀 is going to shit stomp everyone because the way you beat 𝘀 is just have a coach. If you have a coach, you beat 𝘀, but know that every team doesn't have a coach.
But there is a very big counter argument if you look at the results so far, because 𝘀 hasn't won a single series 2-0. They have lost the game to 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀. They have lost the game to EVOS. They have lost the game even to OPG. They lost the game to Flash. They lost the series to Flash. They lost the game to Secret. Yeah, they straight up lost to Percent 0-2. They are going to lose 0-2 to Cerberus, so their game score is actually very bad. So 𝘀𝗰𝗋 is. I still feel like 𝘀𝗰𝗋 is not very good.
I agree. I think they're really bad, but I just think their weakness is so obvious. It's like a video game boss where there is a giant glowing red weak spot on their chest, and everyone in the league is going, I reckon I hit him in the leg. But no! Just ban the Jace and don't do stupid shit early game. That is literally it. If you do those two things that a bloody gold Clash team could do, you probably beat 𝘀𝗀𝗋. That's it. All you have to do. It's so easy, and no one does it. Like, are they not doing VOD reviews? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that there are only 3 players to win on Jace out of a total 5 who have played him this split. D1, Kiaya, and TH.
Yeah, he's played one game.
Played him against 𝘀𝗀𝗋, so 𝘀𝗀𝗋 couldn't get him.
Yeah, he's fundamental to every strat 𝘀𝗀𝗋 has brought out. Just ban it.
Yeah, but exactly just because they have so small champion pools right now, I feel like, I mean, with Jace, maybe they're second place, but eventually,
I know again,
people are going to.
That is very much my point. That is very much my point. Currently, because no team, I think teams are like underestimating them. It's almost like they're saying, oh, 𝘀𝗀𝗋's a mess. You know, they just do crazy stuff and rely on their mechanics. We don't need to like think about them. Like, no. All you have to do is think about them for 10 minutes. Spend 20 minutes.
Let's say this. If Secret and 𝘀𝗀𝗋 were to play again today, would you favor 𝘀𝗀𝗋? No, right.
No, I wouldn't. I'd favor Secret, but I still have to
ask him again after he sees draft.
Exactly. That's the big thing. Is like after draft, actually, no, I would favor 𝘀𝗀𝗋. And the fact of the matter is, Team Secret weren't banning Jace. And if you're too dumb to click that button, I think 𝘀𝗀𝗋's better than you. So actually, maybe play 10 series. Maybe 𝘀𝗀𝗋 does win 6. Like, I don't think they'd win more than 6, but I am angry enough at VCS coaching staff to put 𝘀𝗀𝗋 second, and that is an indictment of the league. If 𝘀𝗀𝗋 is the second best team, that is a indictment of the entire VCS. That is pathetic. Do better, coaches. Do better.
Seconds, yeah, this league needs to take a long hard look at itself and get some assistance in the coaching department, because
it's not good enough. The coaching staff of the VCS are awful. There's no other word for it. I don't like being mean, but they're terrible. They're just shit at their job. Do better.
Some of their drafting decisions are definitely
VCS drafting is easily the weakest I've seen.
Yeah, it's a joke, and it's not. I mean, this may be something we can talk about separately. But it's not even just draft. Sometimes you'll have good drafts and not know how to execute it. They'll just do shit that's like, you're playing a scaling draft. Why are you hard committing 5 people to defend an eye of a herald that you didn't get? Why?
Yeah, that's true. Some teams are still too keen on fighting, even from bad positions, especially OPG. I actually feel like in-game has been mostly fine so far this split. A lot of the decisions, the macro decisions, a lot of the objective trades have been aggressive for sure, but honestly, especially around Baron, I feel like VCS teams are quite good right now.
I think around
but
Baron,
the drafts are the most glaring weakness in my opinion, where so many drafts only have one mode, can only run in. If you fall behind, you instantly lose the game. There were so many drafts this week where one team just opted into the wrestler comp, the I don't know, 𝘁𝗏𝗋 on top of that, so you have no range whatsoever, you have no scaling whatsoever. If you lose 2 kills in the early game, the game is basically over. You have to contest every single objective because you don't rely on item spikes. You just need your early game fights. You lose one big fight at Dragon and the game is over at 10 minutes. Like, please, can you please just draft a composition that has at least something going for it in the later stages,
Yeah,
please?
You always need some insurance policy, even if that's
Cerberus
all
doesn't.
items.
Cerberus actually doesn't need that. That is also one reason why they are by far the best. They can run 𝘁_cia Renekton drafts and actually win with them because they know how to snowball games.
Yeah.
They can.
They also don't have to. But the thing is, they also don't do that every game. They actually have multiple gears, which is good to see.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, like they are uncontested first, and they are miles ahead of the competition in my. So third, do you guys both have Garm third, or?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so I've got Team Secret third, so we've just flipped on that one. We don't need to argue.
I have Flash.
Oh, you have Flash third. Okie doke,
Okay.
defend that one.
What?
Flash better than
Third?
Garm. I mean, Flash did beat Garm.
Okay.
Garm did beat
So,
themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously, Flash is not a great. Like my 3, 4, 5.
I hate. Can I just
My 3,
point
4, 5,
out-
6 are all basically interchangeable.
Can I just point out how much I hate that we hit third on the power rankings and someone leads in? Well, obviously they're not great. We're
in A now.
third.
Yay.
Yeah.
Fuck, we
So-
suck.
Yeah, 3 through 5 are all a bit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 3 through 6 is a bit up in the air.
Hey.
But I mean, I kind of have Flash in a bit because of what their potential is. Because they've shown, in their most recent stuff, they showed they have decent team fighting and their players are looking somewhat back on track to what we expect. Stark's still a massive problem. But I think it's at a case where I think when they're now gotten to a point where if they did slot in Yoshino, they would be they wouldn't be first or second, but they would definitely be at a good place where player skill can carry them. Their macro is good enough that their player skill can carry them from there.
I
It's not.
struggle to. I mean, I think their drafts are the worst in the league, though.
No. The drafts
No.
actually have been the strong point for Flash in the last week.
I
They
agree.
only won against Garm because of draft.
Yeah,
They're-
and I think that that's a problem because their drafts still suck.
Their drafts are definitely not the worst in the league.
I mean, there are some other teams down
There is one team
below.
in
Sorry,
particular
okay,
that I'm
of the
very
top
angry about.
echelon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's one team Vinnie particularly likes that is really bad at
There's a team I
draft.
don't give a shit anymore. I don't give a shit anymore.
We'll get to
So-
that.
I give
sure.
So, you don't have Flash third, right? You have Secret.
Me,
every day.
I have Secret. Yeah,
Okay.
'cause I have Garm
So
second.
I have Flash further down. We'll talk about that. But my opinion on Flash is very low. I just tweeted out yesterday that I think they are the worst 66% win rate team I've ever seen
Yep.
because they have no macro whatsoever. Like all the games they win because they brute force mid S5, ARAM the enemy team down, enemy team does dumb mistakes, and they have good team fighting compositions. They actually figured out a draft that works for them, which is hyper carry for both 𝘁𝗁 and Slater. Sack everything in top lane. Ego has to do something, and if Ego fails, the team just falls apart. Ego is actually super important to them right now. The Lee Sin game against Garm, he basically into that way alone.
I mean, I don't think that had much to do with composition. That was probably the worst Lee Sin game I've ever seen, including my solo queue.
Yeah, but they basically play the same composition every single draft. Tank, most likely Volibear top lane. Then farming jungler in the jungle, most likely Nidalee. Then you have a hyper carry, most likely Ryze in the mid lane. You have a hyper carry in the bot lane. Slater likes to play Kai'Sa, likes to play Aphelios, you know. And then roaming support, most likely Pantheon for Palette. It's so easy to look at their draft. They always draft the same thing.
How is that any different from Garm? It's just, we've got a Bruiser on Ki, we've got
Garm
Garm at least understands side lane. Garm at least understands side lane. Look at that game with Jax against Volibear. They actually know how to pressure bot lane and get inhibitors for free, while Flash just, at the time where 𝘁𝗁 goes to the bot lane to push, Flash's response is just to group mid and try to force a fight. It's like, what are you doing?
That is actually the correct... But when you have a super strong split pusher, the actual correct move is to try and group as 5 and force a team fight.
But the problem
But
is
not-
they don't do it.
You need engage though.
They don't. Yeah, exactly. They
That's a
don't
draft
pick
issue.
engage. Yeah, okay. Then I think their drafts are shit. And you guys were like, no, their drafts are good. No, their
No,
drafts
their
are
drafts are
fucking
actually the best
terrible.
thing
say
about
their
them.
drafts are good. I said they're not the worst.
They're not okay. Fine.
Yeah, their
They're not
drafts
the
are good
worst,
for their
but they are
team.
shit.
Their drafts are good for their team. I actually think they know exactly how to draft for their team because Star can't win lane. He needs a tank. You have to have 2 hyper carries for 𝘁𝗏𝗏 is actually the most important player right now.
You need a strong
You need
carry
𝘁𝗏𝗏
card.
Rise. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work with anything else. Like if 𝘁𝗏𝗏 is on a hyper carry, he can actually carry the game. Slater right now is not able to carry the games because he likes to play the short range ADCs, and they are just not great right now. His Kai'Sa is just sitting there, can't ever attack anyone. So I think 𝘁𝗏𝗏 and Ego are so important to Flash right now. But overall, like I hate their macro. Looking at their games, the only thing they do all the time is group mid and brute force their way into
did you
the
guys
enemy
freeze?
base.
I mean,
It's-
I'm
I
not.
hate it so much.
I'm not high on Gun. I'm not all that high on Gun because I think their
Yeah, I'm-
macro is about as bad. Just it's about the same. It's just
Well, they have better
the
players.
different end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I just think their players are better though. Like despite all of the issues at 𝘁𝗏, and there are a shitload of them, they still have the best top side in the league.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
But I
Like
I
coming
think
into the season,
part
we
of
were
it
saying
is.
they have to be a top 4 team just on the strength of their top side. Doesn't matter what else.
I think part of it, why you guys are high on Gum is because their very last series they played really well. Every other series before that they've been fucking.
I don't think they played particularly well against Secret.
I just
think
rewatched
Secret
Flash
beat
against
themselves.
𝘁𝗏𝗏. Yeah, I just rewatched Flash against 𝘁𝗏𝗏 yesterday and today, and I still think 𝘁𝗏𝗏 was the better team in the whole series. Like their bot lane hard entered the last 2 games. Okay, that's just 2 players. But Flash, the way Flash plays mid and late game is just they don't really play as a team. It's like they know how to team fight. Okay, they are decent at engaging, fair, but they have no idea how to play around objectives. Their Barons are actually very questionable. They run at Baron, and how to turn and when to turn is something they don't seem to understand at all. They just at one Baron, 𝘁𝗏𝗏 only contested with 2 players, and Flash was not able to zone them away. 𝘁𝘁𝑇i just flashed over the wall, takes away the Baron. The game's basically over for 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏. It's like, what are you doing, Flash? Please, those are the concepts you should know in Season 10. How to stop Baron contests when you just killed the enemy bot lane.
Yep.
I feel like Flash is still very far away from being a solid team in the mid and late game. Their early game has actually been decent, and their team fighting is good. Their compositions favor them because they have finally figured out how to play or how to draft for their team. But I still can't. I can't give them a high ranking with no good map movement at all. They just win games by brute forcing fights. It's like, not
Okay.
a fan.
We've heard strong arguments on both sides. So
you have Flash, 𝘁𝗏𝗏, and Secret. So we actually have to see what the aggregate third will be with all
Right.
the placings, right?
So I assume then, Vinny, you have 𝘁𝗏𝗏
Mhm.
4th, then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just swapped around, basically. We
Nope.
will have to work. Well, we have to work out the
You'll-
aggregate third. I know
Yulwei
that
has
between.
Flash 8 burner and
Oh,
Flash-
right,
Flash
you've got
is-
Flash even
Nope.
further down. So in that case, who do we all have 5th?
No, 4th.
Fourth?
Okay, 5th.
No. This is 5th. Because I have. Yeah, we're up to 5th, right?
Wait,
No, I haven't
who's-
set my
who's-
4th place.
Oh, sorry.
Who's
Who do you
yours
have 4th?
fourth?
Sorry, who do you have 4th?
EVOS.
Fair.
Okay. I disagree, but I can see your argument. You think their players are back?
Just looking at the last 2 weeks, I think their record is still shit, right? But I actually really like what EVOS is doing in the when ahead, and they are quite a good early game team. They are very aggressive when it comes to Baron. They are super decisive too. I feel like when I watch EVOS, it's better gameplay than Flash's gameplay. Like it's just they are similar in player skill, in my opinion, and EVOS just seems to be a step ahead when it comes to cohesion and just how aggressive and assertive they are around objectives. So I like their play a little bit more.
Okay. I still am not very high on EVOS. I mean, they beat OPG cool, whatever. A strong breeze could beat OPG. And I think Percent played the worst series they've played this split. So it's like, yeah, fair enoff. Like that's a
very good in that.
Yeah,
series.
to be fair, yeah, exactly. They did. That's a good series out of EVOS. Definitely a tick. And I don't have EVOS in 7th. Or anything like that. Like I don't have
you
EVOS.
don't.
Yeah. So I'm saying I'm not super down on EVOS. I'm just not that up on them yet. So I'm not that mad about you having them 4th. I think it's bold, but I guess I don't hate it. So if we've all talked about our 4th place and we don't have any more arguments, move on to 5th. Who do we all have?
I have EVOS.
So you have EVOS 5th. Fair enough.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I have Flash in 5th.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think Flash is better than EVOS at the moment.
Wait, we're missing one spot from you, right?
What? I had
Who's your 4th?
Yeah.
Can I count? Oh wait, no, I can't count. Hang on, Flash is 4th. I'm an idiot.
Okay,
I can't count. I can't count. I have Flash.
That's better.
I have Flash 4th. Sorry. Yeah, I have Flash 4th. Yeah, sorry, I just completely misread things. I have EVOS 5th. I think EVOS 5th is reasonable.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's basically between Flash and EVOS at the 4th, 5th position. So
yeah,
makes sense. We all have them close. Vinnie, you're a little bit higher in Flash. I'm a little bit lower on Flash. But yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Moving on.
I'm a little bit low on Garmin. I'm still a little bit low on Garmin EVOS, more than high on Flash. So,
what's your opinion on EVOS? You haven't really talked about EVOS yet, right? So.
Yeah, they looked a lot more like what we expected them to be against Percent, but I think it's really hard to tell because I think that was in part stylistic. EVOS is a really strong, like theoretically, it's really strong early game players, and Percent doesn't have that. So I think it was just kind of a stylistic mismatch. Plus, Percent did not do themselves any favors with their draft.
Yeah, their draft was atrocious.
Percent actually has the worst draft in the league.
Yeah, they do. Percent is so bad at drafting.
But like, Percent occasionally has these series where they draft really, really well, and it's like, and then they show up and they're like, "Oh, this is actually a really good team." Like we saw that against Gum.
Oh god,
we saw that.
I just went back and looked at the fucking Percent draft. I forgot how
don't
bad
want to
they
do
were.
that. You really don't want to.
I forgot how bad they were. Shit.
Yeah. So if Percent lucks into a really good draft, we're
talking about EVOS. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
But so I think EVOS still has to prove a bit more to go up, but I think.
Yep, I agree with that.
I think they're in a good spot. I think it's high hopes for. It's looking good for EVOS fans.
Yeah, it's starting to look up. It is definitely starting. They've got 2 series wins in a row. Whether they're super.
They still have Saigon Buffalo. So that should be an easy one to close out the first round robin. And then they're 3 and 4, which isn't great, but it's still everything possible, right? So.
Yeah, and considering some of the other teams being very coin flippy, you can still do decent if you go okay in the second round robin.
Yeah.
Actually, really want to see EVOS Gum. I think that's super. That will be really explosive. I think we have that matchup week 6. Yeah, week 6.
Should be like week after. Yeah,
after the mid split. So, if that is everyone's 5th place, well and truly discussed, who do we have in 6th? Starting to get to the bottom end of the league here.
It's quite easy, right?
Yeah.
Percent.
Yeah, Percent.
It has to be Percent.
Vinnie.
Man, Percent was so high in the last one.
This team. We were all very high on this team. And we should have been. They looked good. They looked smart. They were Cerberus Junior. And now I think they're just Junior. Because I don't think Cerberus wants to be associated with them.
Yeah,
Vinnie,
so we saw...
How's 𝘀cie doing? 𝘀cie and the lads. How's it going?
Okay, so overall in terms of gameplay, I don't think there's too much wrong with the players.
I just don't think they're very good, but they're young.
I like, then pretty much none of them are like top of the league, which is in itself a problem. If you have like no super standout players, like 𝘀cie's been good, but he hasn't been like, he's like third, fourth best.
Yeah.
At the moment, and that's kind of, if that's your star power, you're not going to be a great team. And when you combine that with the fact that they can't draft, and they apparently have next to no coaching staff, the team falls apart. The team doesn't do very well. And as I was saying, when they have a good draft, when they luck into a good draft, they look like the third best team. But that's turning out to be less often than not.
It's turning out to be luck. We thought it was just smarts, but it's actually just been luck. Can I remind you what they played game 1 against EVOS?
I remember there was a 𝘀cie, and then I blot the rest out.
No. That's another game.
No. It was a different series. Rumble, Jarvan.
Oh no!
Syndra, 𝘀cie, 𝘀𝘀.
Oh, I forgot that.
That was Tardo's
for a good
Rumble.
reason. You forgot that for a good reason.
He turbo-inted. So just the statistics of this series. I'm just looking at. I went to remind myself what the drafts were, because I was like, oh, they weren't that bad. No, they were. In the statistics of that game, so 2-game series, EVOS got 38 kills. How many do you think percent got?
Oh, that was less than 10.
15?
8.
8.
Yeah, it was 8.
2 games. In 2 games, they got 1 tower. In 2 games.
I actually think the second game draft might even be an even bigger indictment for percent, because they drafted a composition that doesn't make any sense with how percent has been playing so far. So the composition of the second game is VCS, Sett, 𝘀cie, 𝘀cie, and 𝘀eona. So a lot of engage, a fuck ton of engage. That is okay. They all want to run in, but this composition can't do anything from behind. That doesn't make any sense to draft.
They also picked it into an Aphelios.
Percent.
That was the first. It was a R.
And Karma.
It was like almost an immediate Aphelios pick, and they still picked this comp.
But even just looking at their composition, like, why would you? You know your team is not the greatest early game team. If you just look at the stats, shout out to Oracle's Elixir, now available for VCS 2, so we can use that for very cool stats. Their early game rating is the worst in the league, 25.5. So they have by far the lowest early game rating. It's more than 10% points lower, or 10 points lower than Overpower. So they are garbage in the early game, minus 2,000 gold on average, down at 15 minutes. But the late game rating is actually the second best in the league, only second to Cerberus. So why? For fuck's sake, why would you draft your team, your rookie team, that has shown us very good team fighting, very good pick from behind, very good objective control in the late game? Why would you draft them a team composition that can't do anything from behind against a very, very strong early game team in EVOS? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's so dumb. Just draft something that can survive early game. It's safe in lane, so you can't fall behind to a snowball, and then you use your very good late game, your very good coordination, your super good team fighting to come back and win against the better early game team. It's not that hard to understand. I just can't understand how they are so oblivious to their own strengths and weaknesses. It's so weird.
We are talking about a league that still doesn't know to ban Jace against Garm.
Oh, God.
They don't know much.
And the worst part is, you know that 𝘁𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀 was R1, R2.
Oh,
yeah, of course it was. Of course.
I hate.
But I mean, even if you draft that, okay. I mean, it's not great already. But why would you commit to a 𝘀eona then afterwards too? Please, just put enchanting support in the bot lane, so at least you have 𝘀cie, 𝘀cie, and enchanter to scale into the late game and to have some team fighting. Instead, you double down on engage. You go 𝘀cie, 𝘀eona, so everyone's jumping in. You're like, well, we don't have any range. We don't have any damage unless 𝘀cie scales to 4 items, which will not happen. So nice.
Do you want to hear another statistic
have the game,
about
please.
that? Do you want to hear another statistic about that series? They got 8 kills in 2 games. 𝘀cie got 6.
Yeah, I saw
What a
that.
surprise.
That was...
There was only 2 other kills. This is the game where 4 members of EVOS were in the bush entering the river from Red Side Jungle to Dragon, and Tardo put his rumble ult the wrong way and didn't hit anyone.
It was.
Oh
It
my
was.
god. Why did they play him?
The only
Yeah, but-
the only ult I've seen worse than that was when I accidentally forgot to turn Smartcast off for Rumble.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, whoops, that
Yeah,
happened.
that's what
Turn
those
that
like.
off.
Yeah. Yeah, and 𝘀𝘀 actually popped off big time. That's one
Yeah.
of the reasons I really like EVOS right now, because 𝘀𝘀 was one of the biggest problems in the early few series, and he looked very good in that series, and the series before he looked good as well. 𝘀𝘀, when he has strong lane
stepped
picks for 𝘁𝗀𝗃 and Zeros, has so much control over the game. He just stomped 𝘀𝘀 and 𝘁𝗀, two different junglers back to back.
Yeah.
Look at the stats for 𝘀𝘀 and 𝘁𝗀.
Yeah.
𝘀𝘀 0-6 and 7 in the first game. 𝘁𝗀 just straight at 0-3 and 0. he couldn't play the game on the set jungle. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a good sign for EVOS.
𝘀𝘀 definitely looks back, which is very good. So, percent, if maybe they get their heads screwed on straight, they could shoot up in the standings and our power rankings, but at the moment they have had a cataclysmic fall. Speaking of cataclysmic things, who have we got 7th? We all in agreement? I think
think so.
𝘁𝗶𝗃. 𝘁𝗶𝗃.
Yeah.
Yep. God, please.
But there's a
someone free
big gap.
Husband.
There's a big gap.
So, I mean, look, the one thing I'll say about 𝘁𝗶𝗃 is they do have some of the better drafts in the league. I think the fact that they've identified their top laner as their weak side and just get him on every game, that's definitely the right decision. You know, 𝘁𝗀, he's not a very mechanical player. He's kind of a dead weight on the team.
Oh, please.
So the rest of 𝘁𝗶𝗃 can
please,
just
shut
put him
up.
on Ornn and they can try and pull 𝘁𝗀 over the line.
I mean, for what it's worth, in the game they
He's
won
actually a
against
good
Cerberus B Squad, 𝘁𝗀 kind of wins it. Like, that was the game where everyone else on the map was popping off and 𝘁𝗀's just like, I'm Mordekaiser.
I mean, he was against
That's
Pun.
true.
Like, it was Cerberus baseball, but Pun looks pretty legit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Pun looked good, but
Yeah, you're
it
right.
was funny that ꞌ𝘁𝗀
Yeah.
Just-
Actually,
Why are they
the
putting
bot
him
lane
on
actually
guys?
Garbage
got
that
to
game.
shine.
Yeah, we were reminded that they have a bot lane.
Yeah.
That's not
And
fair.
then the bot lane went back to sleep in the next 2 games, sadly. To be fair, Cerberus' bot lane
That's
is
not
very good.
fair.
So.
Yeah.
Hin's been playing.
Hin,
Yeah,
Hin is a good player, yeah.
that's true.
Style, not so much. But actually, in my opinion, 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 showed some signs of life here. They played against the best team in the league, and especially in the third game, where there was the 𝘁𝗀 game, they had some very close
close.
teamfights from far behind.
They
So,
nearly won that game.
I mean, yeah, that's a little bit of an overstatement if you look back at the game, but they came close in team fights at least. I mean, they were still 10k gold down. Would have
Yeah,
taken them like 4 team fights to come back, but
There was a couple of moments where that 𝘁𝗀 nearly won them team
Yeah,
fights
yeah,
late enough in
it's
the
true.
game
Yeah.
that it could have gotten them Barons into wins. It was purely
Maybe.
the 𝘁𝗀. It was 100% 𝘁𝗀 scaling. But it was closer
And they
than
actually-
perhaps we would have expected.
yeah, they play team fights very good. This is not an easy composition to team fight in. That's not front to back. That's not the textbook style you all know and love. They had to kite around the sides of for example, the Ornn. They had to kite away from the threats and then re-engage with all their damage, and they actually pulled that off quite well. And Cerberus only won because of a 10k gold lead. So yeah, I felt like 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 still some things going for them. It's just a little bit sad that they don't have a mid and bot laner, so they don't have a carry. Oh, that's a little unfortunate.
I just...
They get a mid laner every other game, though.
Yeah,
Every
now
other
and then.
game, maybe. Yeah.
I just went and pulled the stats up. Jesus Christ. I think 𝘁𝗶𝗆 and 𝘀𝗀, their career's over. You need to go find another job. You got brought back in, you got given your chance. 040, 050.
Yeah, that
With the best
Yeah,
mid
that-
laner in the league and the best jungler in the league on your team. Well, best compositionally. Yeah, good job, guys. Your career's over.
yeah, the
You're done.
combined 090 bot lane.
Like, you just ended your careers. Why'd you play? Should have said no.
Against
It was better.
Yeah.
It was better to just not remind everyone that you're shit, and maybe you get bought out. Ugh, bad decision.
I don't think there is, of the starting bot lanes, a bot lane worse than Hin style. And that's mostly just because of style.
Yeah, it's mostly just because Hin's actually, the fact that you're saying that, like, I had a gut reaction. You're like, Hin's pretty good. It's like, yeah, but it's style.
Yeah.
Style
I
is
I mean,
really bad.
Vid come close, but I would even argue that Vid is better than Style right
Yeah,
now.
I would too.
Like, Vid has looked very bad in some games, but he at least has some pop-off games as well, while Style is just mediocre all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
he's in the game, I guess. But he
Like,
doesn't
Vid-
do anything. He doesn't do damage. He doesn't really win his lane. What is he here for? He's just
And they
Might
keep
as-
and they
in
keep
for the
picking,
ride.
they keep picking the single damage comp. Like, yep, it's all on Style. Why?
I'd rather have it all on Froggy.
Why? Please, no.
Like,
Oh. Free Hasmid.
Yeah, free. Yeah, someone get him out. So
can we just
sorry,
commit to drafting Style like a Nivea every game, so that way he knows his job is just wave clear?
You can play bot lane.
Give him Heimerdinger. I mean, Heimerdinger
works.
just, you know,
Yeah.
it's not that hard to play. Yeah, I can do it, so you can do it too.
Just,
I
The-
can't play Heimerdinger.
just tell him that he's still. Just hire a new ADC and then just tell Style he's still on the team and just put him in a game against like easy bots or something, and he can just sit on the end as the 6th player. Be like, it's okay, Style, you're still on the team.
So, and my last shout out in this team actually goes to Meliodas, because 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 has had a very strange way to drafting jungle. They really like the Kindred and Grace double ADC compositions, but in Cerberus
need
series
an
they
ADC.
actually went to 𝘀cie, and 𝘀cie looked really good on the 𝘀cie early game, and that is more Meliodas' traditional style. I want to see more active early game junglers. Try to get Hasmid ahead, maybe try to even get Froggy ahead, even though he's more of the facilitating laner. I mean, maybe you can transition it somewhere else. And I would really like to see more of active Meliodas, because his Graves, his Kindred, I mean, he's okay on them. He's not great. He's not super bad, but he's just like, why would you play a scaling ADC jungler when you know you can't really win team fights because your ADC is shit? Please, just go early game. Just go hard.
If you really need an AD, like, I get that that's sort of like, I get it from the sense of backing up Style, so that way you have essentially a full AD carry of damage. But at that point, you play Twitch jungle. Just play Twitch jungle. You get the early level 1 cheese gank off. You're off to the races. You have a fully fledged AD carry after a few items, and then you're good to go.
I mean, I think
Please,
obviously 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 I think are still firmly the 2nd worst team in the league. I can't argue about putting anyone below them except OPG. But they've gone from having 3 terrible players to only having 2 terrible players. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they've still got 2 pretty bad players in Froggy and Style, but Meliodas is mediocre.
I think
an improvement.
I think you're being a bit harsh on Froggy, but because his Style really needs an AD carry to succeed.
Except when he loses lane by 40 CS for no reason. That's why I'm harsh on him. He just can't last hit. That is such basic shit.
I mean, he's never going to be. He's not going to be top of the league.
That's fine. And if he was like average, like if he played a style where he was roaming and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, he's 50 CS down. He's never been in the lane, whatever. He's not as good at that style as like, you know, 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 last year, where he would play that style and still be fine in CS because he timed it so well. Whatever. I don't expect that out of Froggy. He goes 40 CS down, but he sets his team up, aces, or even tries to set his team up. But there have been games where they don't even do that. He just sits in lane, no jungle intervention, and he's 40 CS down. It's like, at that point, you're just not last hitting. You just need to kill the minions. Like, that's pathetic.
Yeah.
And I think that's in part because he really needs a actual strong side lane to survive. And usually those games are when Hasmid's on a champion where Hasmid can't get that strong side lane for Froggy to go to. So at that point, Froggy's stuck in lane because he can't go anywhere, and then he has to go, well, I lose now.
Yeah, but that's pretty bad.
Because I'm not good at this bit.
Yeah, but like that's...
and the bit I'm good at, I can't do.
But like, yeah, that's like not really good enough for a professional League of Legends player.
He does need to work on it.
Yeah.
He does need to work on the laning 100%, but I think he's not a garbage player
I mean, I think he has
I think that's
potential
only
to
style
not. I think he
at
has.
this point.
Oh, Style's worse. Style is the worst player on the team, 100%.
Yeah.
Froggy's much, much better than Style, and I think Froggy's got potential. But I think you're a professional League of Legends player. You need to be able to sit in your lane and not fall 40 CS behind. Like, that's just a requirement.
Stick him in practice tool.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
like, that is
really
just,
do that.
like, genuinely,
honestly,
like, that is just a requirement in season 10. Like, we're not in season 1 playing Ash mid. Like we've actually.
Oh, I wish we were.
Oh, me too. I long for those heady days of no junglers.
Oh, take me back to when League of Legends didn't require thinking.
Am I getting spammed?
But why are we here for?
Yeah, exactly. It's just a free ride.
Just to close out the power rankings, we all have OPG last, of course.
Is there anything to say about OPG? I think they're just shit.
I actually think OPG looked a little bit better last week.
Simon looked decent.
Yeah, Simon looked okay.
Yep, against 𝘀liche. They should have won the first game. They really should have won that. They had a big gold advantage. They had a very strong top side. Actually, shout out to PhD, especially on 𝘀cie. He looked super good.
Yeah, he did.
Sadly, their bot lane was inting the whole game, and their wave management was very bad for the bot lane. But I feel like that was a game you can go back and actually see, okay, OPG can actually stand up to a few of the teams in early laning phase, and they just need to get better when it comes to objectives, especially Baron contesting and also starting. They had a Baron call in that game that just basically lost them the game. They just ran at Baron, and 𝘀liche killed everyone, killed the Baron, and the game was over. So there's still some glimmers of hope. They are not completely hopeless. They are not FTV tier yet. No, they still have some good early games, and they still have some solid, cohesive team calls in the later stages. So, I mean, they play against 𝘀. 𝘀 is on the downwards trajectory now. So there might be a game or even two there in that series on Saturday.
Yeah, maybe. I still think I would... Let me put it this way. I can see myself going the rest of the year never picking OPG to win in our Pick'ems game. I might be wrong once or twice, but I don't think I'll ever pick them. At the moment, they're just...
If you ever want to pick them next week, this week is actually the week. They play against 𝘀, and then next day play against 𝐳𝗀𝗏. So they actually, this is the week OPG has to come back. If they lose both of the series this week, they are doomed. They are gone. They are done.
We had more than one person picking them against 𝘀lash, which was a very bold choice, guys.
They should have won one game at least.
Yeah, one game. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the power rankings. So we agree on some spots. We have some pretty big disagreements on others.
If you want to aggregate those, so we all have Cerberus first, so they are clearly first. We had most votes for Team Secret second, so they are aggregate second. Third place is a little bit who's going third?
It's definitely 𝘀cie.
It's probably 𝘀cie, right? Yeah.
Because EveryWei has them second, I have them fourth, and it's just...
Yeah, I have third. Yeah, makes sense. Then fourth place is probably 𝘀lash, because you both have them. Yeah, you have them third. Yeah, 𝘀lash. So 𝘀lash, then 𝘂𝑎𝑠,
then _Buffalo.
%. Okay, so we can actually see how much of this is still true in the next, in 2 weeks, where we have the next power ranking edition.
And of course, we are approaching the end of the first round robin as well, so it's getting pretty exciting. Yeah, it is, Rakan. Yeah.
Good timing, Rakan. Good job. You.
Can I just tell a quick story about Rakan? It's not related to League of Legends at all. This bird is so dumb. It's unreal. I was drinking a coffee, and I was like, I took a sip of it and was like, "Oh, that's really hot. I need to let that cool down." So it burned me, and then he leans over and goes, "What's this?" Dunks his face in. Cool. We have to go to the vet now, guys. Good job. That cost me $100. Thanks, Rakan. Burnt your face because you're an idiot. Had to take him to the vet.
God.
And it was like, oh my god, what happened? He looks like in a lot of pain. I'm like, he smashed his face into my coffee. Why did he do that? And then the vet said, why did he do that? Laughed and went, birds are dumb.
Wow.
They sold you a faulty bird.
They have very, very small brains.
Small creatures. There's not much room for.
Exactly. They have, I think cockatiels have one of the lower brain to body size ratios of birds, which is explains a lot. It does. He got lost in his cage as well. He went to a corner of his cage he doesn't normally like to sit in and fell asleep, and when he woke up he freaked out. He's like, this is not where I sleep. You can't, it's just a stick. You're sitting on a stick. What's wrong with you? Oh. But yeah, moving on from bird stories. We've still got a couple of minutes if we want to look forward a little bit to the Friday night games, because they are looking pretty hot. What do we have coming up and why are they exciting? Yulwei, do you want to talk about our first series?
We're starting with the match of the week. Cerberus against 𝘀𝗀. That is the true test for Cerberus. The last game in the first round robin, and their only game this week, in the very first series. So if they finish 7-0 in the first round robin, that would be a very big achievement. I think the best first round robin ever for Cerberus.
Yeah,
probably.
From Cerberus. Yeah,
I'm very, very, very excited to see if they can do this, and hope they can finally put 𝘀𝗀 in their place. Just smash them 2-0, please.
I'll be so if 𝘀𝗀 beats Cerberus, I think I might retire. Like, one of you needs to get your play-by-play chops ready, because there is every chance that we'll cut back to the analyst desk, because you better hope 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 is doing production. You'll cut back, and there just won't be me on camera, and you'll just hear my door slam and a car start. And I'll just reinvent my life, change my name, and leave.
You're gonna have to buy a car just in case 𝘀𝗀 wins.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I don't have a car, so you'll hear a car start, and that'll be even worse.
Ricard, can you take over?
I mean, we do the same thing, right?
Yeah. Likes to scream.
But no, it should actually be a really good game. I'm actually pretty keen to see Brute Force hit some more solid play. I wouldn't be surprised to see 𝘀𝗀 take one game, honestly. I think they actually could Brute Force one. I wouldn't favour them to. I'll probably pick 2-0, but it wouldn't blow my mind if they did.
You can always Brute Force a game. It's always possible.
What do we reckon?
The level 1 goes wrong, and then it's
Yeah, I think 𝘀𝗀's matchup is not actually the greatest into Cerberus. I would still say Team Secret is the best matchup into Cerberus.
Yeah,
because 𝘀𝗀 wins through team fights, and Cerberus is so good at team fighting. So I mean,
I agree, but I still think there's a possibility 𝘀𝗀 just flips a game. It's just a possibility.
Yeah, maybe,
it's definitely
possible. Of course.
It wouldn't make sense, but no.
𝘁𝗏 𝗀𝗀ce, and they just run over them.
If they don't ban 𝗀𝗀ce, if Cerberus lets 𝗀𝗀ce get through in game 1, that car's going to be starting about an hour early.
Yeah, there's a chance that it's. I mean, there's always a chance that they mess up a dive or get outplayed in a dive top lane. 𝘁𝗏 gets like 2 or 3 kills early and he just runs through the side lane, and LL's like, I got nothing, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on.
Yeah, shit can happen. Definitely shit can happen, but if everything goes to plan for both teams, Cerberus is just much better. I'd love it. I actually think it'd be really cool, because if you ban meta, if you just kind of do tier list bans against 𝘀𝗀, you actually just know what they're going to pick. They're just going to pick, like, 𝗀𝗀ce_𝗁𝗀. I said Levi instead of 𝗁𝗀, but I bet both of you knew what I meant.
Yeah, of course.
They would just pick 𝗀𝗀ce_𝗁𝗀 and just do that. I'd love to see, like, Cerberus let them do that and then have some crazy counter strat. But at the same time, I think you just ban the 𝗀𝗀ce. Because the 𝗁𝗀 doesn't work without the 𝗀𝗀ce.
And I would actually be a little bit...
Have Braum in the mid lane so he can block those projectiles. Braum, let's go.
Oh yeah,
that's it. That's it.
He's actually very good at 𝗀𝗀ce. You can just chase 𝗀𝗀ce down. It's actually not a bad idea. It's a very bad idea.
It's a very bad idea. I don't know if you know this, but Funnel's not that great anymore.
I mean, I would be very scared for Yado if DR1 gets 𝗀𝗀ce again. I think it's Doesn't make sense to leave the
It
Jace
doesn't, yeah,
open. Just ban it away.
And it's
Just
like the thing
get rid of
is,
it.
like some people have justified it. It's like, oh, they don't want to ban Jace because they're scared of what else he might play. It's like, so you've got the option of he'll play
Argument. I
Jace.
hate that so much.
He will play Jace, which he is pounding people on and absolutely destroying them, or he might play something which he might beat you on. It's like, what? Just ban it. It's not like you're counter picking it.
The other picks also haven't looked that great. Like we have seen him on Nico. He was like, yeah, he was fine, but he didn't really do much. Then we have seen him on 𝘬𝗠, which he got solo killed a level ahead of 𝘁𝗏, and he still got solo killed by the Orianna. So it's like not that scary. I mean, he had good TPs and he had decent team fighting, but still lost the game in the end.
Good Orianna ults.
He could have always played the Lucian. That was pretty scary.
Yeah, the Lucian. Yeah, of course, the Lucian is good. His Lucian is actually very good. So.
But it's also, like, again, I think 𝘀𝗀 is so obvious. Levi is going to play an AP jungler every game. Because he has to. Because Dia 1 is apparently the new 𝘁𝗏 mid lane. He doesn't play mages.
He's good PhD.
It makes
Dia 1 is just good DPhD. They are so similar. Dia 1 is just better.
PhD if he was good.
yeah, he is.
Shockingly, he really is. But yeah, like again, there's possibilities for 𝘀𝗀 to flip, but I think you have to be picking Cerberus, and I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be so hard for me not to be biased on cast, because every time things go wrong for 𝘀𝗀, I'm just gonna be, yes, come on, boys, shut them down. And I think people are getting the impression that I hate 𝘀𝗀 as like an organization. I don't. I mean, if the stuff about them not playing their players ends up being true, then yes, I do. But I don't hate your fan base. I don't hate the players. In fact, 𝘁𝗏 is my favorite player. I love 𝘁𝗏. I think he's awesome. And he deserves the world.
Fans.
True, I
hate the fans.
True, I kind of hate 𝘀𝗀.
It's the same reason I hate G2 fans, Fnatic fans, TSM fans. Just hate them.
G2 fans meme all the time.
Some of them are the G2 memes. Like the organization G2 is very funny with their memeing. Their fans are pretty insufferable. Okay, fair point. But like, I don't hate the 𝘀𝗀 players. I hate what they do to the VCS because they make other teams go, see, we can just smash our forehead into the keyboard and win. No, you have
I feel like we'll see one of the biggest
learn how to play.
We'll see one of the biggest bot gaps in the league in servers against 𝘀𝗀.
That's going to be
𝘀𝗀's bot lane was so bad in the last week, and they are going to get wrecked.
It looked lot better when they actually fielded EasyLove, though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, EasyLove looked a lot better.
But still,
𝘁𝗀 kind of lost.
They're going to get pounded by Cerberus' bot lane. That's probably the only spot on the map where Cerberus just has actually way, like it's almost like in mid and top, there's a pretty huge skill gap. It's reversed in the bot lane. It's almost as big a skill gap.
But I only really think that's for the AD carry position. I think
that's fair.
Because 𝘁,
really?
ＳLAY's a good support.
Has been outperforming.
I haven't been impressed with the 𝘁, I have to say.
But he's been a lot better than the ADCs, at least.
Maybe.
But I think the difference between 𝘁 and 𝘁 isn't huge.
I don't disagree on that front. Not because I don't like 𝘁. I think 𝘁's been sick. So I am biased.
Yeah, incredible.
No, I know. Like I'm still saying 𝘁 is better by a decent amount, but I don't think it's massive. I don't think it's
I see.
That big.
Yeah,
okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think like if it's a mirror matchup, then it will factor in, but you're not going to get a mirror matchup, so it'll come down to champion matchup and whatnot. So
that's fair. And what's our second game on Friday night?
Flash Secret.
I don't think that one's as interesting. Can Secret bounce back? Because their mental...
It's very important for the standings, though.
Yeah.
It's very, very important.
Their mental was shattered in Game 3 against 𝘀𝗀. Shattered.
Honestly, I can't see Flash winning this. There is, in my mind, there's almost no win condition for Flash in this matchup. They are worse in the early game. They are worse in macro. They are worse in the late game. Like, how are they supposed to win against Team Secret? I really can't see how Flash wins against Secret. Coated is going to stomp Stark. Like, Artifact is on the same level as 𝘁𝗏, roughly. Ego has some flip games. Maybe Ego can flip one game. Who knows? But bot lane is not in Flash's favor either, so it's like...
Yeah, I think we either see this is the week Slater turns on, or...
Yeah.
That's about it.
That is about it, unfortunately.
I think this should be pretty handily Secret, but
Hmm.
you know, if Flash puts up, even if they don't win, if Flash can put up a decent showing, it's like, okay, maybe they are somewhat back in the running.
Yep.
For
That's true.
I agree.
And if Team Secret loses this one, it's actually... They will fall down. They will...
Yeah, they're in a
There's
lot of trouble.
suddenly
They're in a lot of
fourth
trouble.
place or even fifth place. With EVOS' 𝘀𝗫 and 𝘁𝑖CE, I mean, Team Secret could even go to fifth place if they continue to fall.
yeah,
So I think it's going to be a very good week, though. Friday night is certainly opening up with a banger. It's not too often we have our first match be our match of the week, but I'm
We
keen
almost
for
had
it
that
for
last
sure.
week.
Yeah, true. It's probably our second best match, but with that, I think we're just about done. We're at the hour mark. Good job, boys. Proud of you. We actually didn't ramble on for an extra 40 minutes.
I can ramble if you want.
No, Vinny. Don't you dare. No, we did good. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It was a bit more of a low-key one tonight, or a Team Secret one tonight, sorry.
Nice. I like that.
We'll be back next week on this channel for another episode of the podcast, and of course we'll be on broadcast on the VCS English channel next week. Thank you for joining me, Vinny and Yulwei, or just Yulwei at this point because Vinny's left. We'll see you on Friday, guys.
See you on Friday.
Have a good one.